Hello and good evening, viewers. Today we're going to look at how to design a Cashbook template using Google Sheet online spreadsheet. Okay, so on this presentation, we're going to do a quick introduction and we're going to give you some information regarding a proposed training we're making for the 24th and 25th of this month. I'm going to show you a sample of the Cashbook that has been designed and how it works. And of course, I'll take you through how to build a Cashbook template using the following very powerful spreadsheet functions. That's an if function, an if error function, and VLOOKUP function. Then after the design, we're going to demonstrate how it's going to work, and a conclusion. Okay, so first we're going to start. What is a Cashbook? As accountant by training, a Cashbook, we know it's a book of account. It's a book of account which is used to record all cash receipts and cash payments. Okay, so Cashbook is a book of accounts. Of course, it's a day book that is used to record all cash receipts and cash payments by a business organization. Okay, so these cash receipts and cash payments can be cash, of course, that you have that is not yet banked, or it can be a cash that is already in the bank. So in other words, you could have a cash book that has got two columns that will have a cash column and a bank column, or you could have a cash book that is only cash column, and you could have a cash book that has got only a bank column. But as advisors of businesses, the best way to keep your business is to ensure that all cash receipts are deposited immediately and all cash payments are done using a check. Okay, so if you have to do some cash disbursements or cash payments like if you have to do a petty cash payment, you can keep a petty cash float and be using that for your small cash payments. But if you have any payment like beyond a certain threshold, let's say beyond 5,000, you need to draw a check so that everything that is received is deposited, and all the payments that have to be made goes through the bank. By doing this, you'll be able to control your business and you can be able to measure your performance. Okay. Right. So just a bit about the training that we're coming to organize on Tuesday, the 24th and the 25th. This is a capacity building training on modeling Google Sheet, Google Form, and Excel spreadsheet packages for financial data analysis and reporting. Please don't miss out. This is a very, very, very important training. And who should attend? Accountants, finance department staff, auditors, admin and HR staff, and of course, managers, or any other staff for that matter who deals in data. Okay, it's really, really important for you. Okay, so the fees is only $35,000 per participant, and of course, each participant will get a $5,000 workshop allowance. And of course, the most important thing is you will go with a certificate, a USB drive that is loaded with soft copies of all the materials that we will use during the training, and it's going to contain books and manuals of spreadsheet that's going to be of enormous or valuable use for everyone that attended the training. And of course, the most important out of everything else is the knowledge that you're going to gain, which can be used at your current work, or it could be used, in future dates in case you change job. Okay. So the topics that will be covered are this, of course, fundamentals of Google Sheet, Google Forms, finance and admin, and audit professionals. How do we design Google Form? We're going to look at Excel advanced data analysis, functions like data tables, pivot tables, data sorting, filtering, slices, and so on and so forth. We're going to look at sum if and VLOOKUP. Sum if and VLOOKUP function for your information are very, very important. And we're going to incorporate all the topics that may be of interest to the participants. Okay, we're going to be very flexible. Right, so we're going to move. So we're going to go to the training proper. Okay, so this is the output of the Cashbook that we're coming to look at. It looks exactly like this. So first, you have to place the name of your company here and your logo if you have one. And the heading says Cashbook for weak account. Usually we prepare Cashbook for particular bank accounts. Like I said, I discourage all business owners to use their cash in their day-to-day operations. So all cash that have been received from customers must be deposited. So as such, the cash book that you should maintain should be a one column cash book with this bank column cash book only. Okay. So please take note of this. Don't use your cash for other expenditures other than depositing it. Okay. So if you need to make any payments, keep a petty cash float that can be used for payments, petty payments on a daily basis. Okay, so this cash book has got the following columns: the date column, the details, the reference number, the account code, account description, the debit amount and the credit amount, and of course the balance. Okay, so this cash book is done in such a way that if you post the account code here, okay, automatically the account description will come. And also the balance column, if you enter any debit amount or a credit amount, the right calculation will be done for you. Okay, so let's prove it. Right, so let's say we enter, let me just look for my chart of accounts. Okay, let's say 4023, according to our chart of accounts, is insurance. So we come and type 4023 and enter. Insurance appears for us. Okay, so this is automatically done so that if you type any code, the account description will be done for you automatically. Okay, this will save time. I need to make sure you avoid errors. Okay, so we can use another one. Let's say 8201. Okay, so we can come 8201, for example, 8201. Once you enter, office equipment has displayed for you. Okay, and also, let's say insurance. Okay, let me just take this off and use some new examples. Okay, so let's say there was a debit entry. Okay, let's say there was a debit entry. Okay, this debit entry might be purchase of stationery or something like that. Let's say we purchase stationery. Sorry, debit entry cannot be purchased stationery. The debit entry could be sales that have been received from customers. So let's say we received 35,000, as you can see on here. Okay, so now let's use a new example. Okay, let's say we made additional car sales of 10,000. So once we type 10,000, the balance is going to increase to 25,000. Okay, and let's say there was a credit transaction. Credit transaction in a cash book will reduce the balance. So the credit transaction could be an expenditure. Let's say we bought some assets. So there will be a credit transaction on the cash book, an asset of, let's say, 5,000. Once we enter, look at the balance, it's 25,000 now. Once we enter the credit entry, it's going to be 20,000, as you can see. Okay, so the cash book we're going to design, this is the way it's going to look like. Okay. This is the way it's going to look like. Okay, so just keep following me and we're going to do the cash book in a minute. So this is the data for the cash book that we're coming to design, and this is the chart of accounts. So this chart of accounts is what we're going to use for the codes, the account codes, right? So we have the data, okay, which includes all the columns as you can see here, and of course what to do. So what we're coming to do is we're coming to design our cash book template, and we will do the following, okay? Right, so let's start. Let's start. So the first thing is we need to date format column B. So to date format column B, we highlight on column B and say format number. We choose this sample. Okay, that will give us our date formatting. And for the monetary columns, that's the debit, the credit, and the balance columns, we can just highlight on them, align them to the right, and right click to choose format. Okay, so we can get it from here. Actually, we highlight and then we go to format, number, and then we choose financial. Okay, I prefer this. Then we choose financial. Okay, so now the bit number formatted to 2DP, and then the date column has been formatted to accept dates. So what's the next step? The next step is we're going to create our formula on the balance column. So the first, the first cell just under the balance column will be used for the balance brought forward. So we're going to start our formula from the second one, okay? So we're going to do a conditional formula, an if conditional formula, okay? So it's gonna start equals if, okay? Then we open the brackets, okay? And we're going to say that if on this cash book we make a debit entry, what should happen? And if not, what should happen? Okay, so if we don't make a debit entry on this cash book, naturally, we have to make a credit entry. Okay, so if not debit entry, it is credit entry. So therefore, we say equals if debit entry. So on this particular row, the debit entry can only come under G8. So if G8, if there is a debit entry. So we say comma, what do you want the system to do if there is a debit entry? Since this is a cash account, it's an asset account, by default, it has a debit balance. So therefore, if you pass a debit entry, it's going to increase the balance. And if you pass a credit entry, it's going to decrease the balance. So we say equals, if a debit entry is passed, what should we do? We take the previous balance and add it to the debit entry. Okay? We take the previous balance and add it to the debit entry. We say comma. So this is the condition, what to do, what to return if the condition is true. And the last part of the formula is what to return if the condition is false. So if the condition is true, it's a debit entry. If the condition is false, it's a credit entry. So what to do if a credit entry is passed? So if a credit entry is passed, we take the previous balance and deduct it from the credit entry. We close the bracket and we enter. Okay, so for now it's saying 0 because no transaction has been recorded yet on the cash. So we can just duplicate this a bit. So we just duplicate this down, let's say just a few. Okay, so we can just leave it here. We want to make it simple as it is an example. Okay, so we've done our formula on our balance column. Now, the next formula we're going to do is we're going to do a formula on the account description column. Okay, we're going to do a formula under the account description column so that if the account code is entered, automatically the account description will be returned. But in order to do this, we have to bring the account code column first before the account description, because the VLOOKUP function does not work backwards, it only looks forwards. So I just first unmerge this, then I'm going to move this column from here to here. So I just highlight on it, I just click on it. If I see the hand sign, then I just click and drag. Okay, as you can see, drag. So now I have the account code column before the account description column. Simple. Right, so I can go back and merge this. It won't work when you have some areas that have been merged. So that's why I'll merge this area first. So I'm going to go back and merge it again. So just click on here and then highlight up to here and then say merge. Correct. So far, so good. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a formula here. Okay, we're going to do a formula here so that if, not a formula here actually, a formula here under the account description. Okay, so that if we enter the account code, the account descriptions will come on their own automatically. So this function is going to be an if error function mixed with VLOOKUP. Why if error? If error is useful because we are trying to prepare a template. A template is empty at the moment. Okay, the template is empty at the moment. If we don't use the if error, it's going to bring us the hashtag, the hashtag error. Okay, it's going to return hashtag errors. Okay, so to avoid that, we prefix all the functions with an if error function so that you don't see unusual things on your template. Okay, so we'll start. All formulas will start with an equals. So we say equals. If error, we type if, and all the functions with if will appear, and we're going to choose if error. Okay, so if error, plain English, if error, if there is an error. If there is an error in what? You have to say if there is an error in what? if there is an error in a formula, and this is the formula we're going to review. So the formula is a VLOOKUP formula, okay? So we say if there is an error in VLOOKUP, so I type V, and all the formulas starting with V will display, so I just choose VLOOKUP. Okay, so the VLOOKUP function will look at first what to look up. So what to look up is the account code, and the account code will be found on E8. So what to look up is E8, comma, and the second part is where to look it up from. That's what is called table array. So our table array, where we're going to find this account code and its corresponding description, is on our chart of accounts. So we go and click our chart of accounts, which is on a different sheet. So we click on chart of accounts, and we must start from the account code because it's the account code that we're looking for. So we click on account code, okay, and move to the rest so that we can highlight the whole chart of accounts up to where it stops, or we could, if we could in fact include in empty cells, so that tomorrow if you populate more chart of more account codes, it's going to appear on your formula. But for now, we're going to stop here, and we need to make this range fixed. So to make this range fixed, as at this stage, we just press F4. So we press F4. See, after pressing F4, $4 signs will appear. Okay, so that means this range has been fixed. Even if we replicate the formula, this range will not change. Okay, and after that, we do our comma. Now, the last part of the formula is actually the second to last part of the formula is the column number to return, okay, after you have seen what you have looked up. Okay, so the column number we want to return is the account description, which is column 2. So you always start counting from your lookup value column. So this is 1, this is 2. So we say 2, and then comma. Now the final part is to say a false or a true. A false means you're going to look for an exact match, whilst true is if you're going to look for not exact but something similar. But we always choose false so that we have the exact match. So we just type false, F-A-L. I see. So once you type F-A-L, it's gonna come. They just close that. Okay, so we close our bracket once. So this closing of this bracket will close this one. We've not finished our formula. Okay, so and then we say comma. Now, if there is an error in this VLOOKUP formula, what do we do? And when will an error occur? An error will occur when the space is not yet populated. Okay, so if the space is not yet populated, now what should we return? We should return just an empty cell. So to do an empty cell, we just do a double inverted comma, hit the space bar once, and do the double inverted comma close. Okay, so that means if there is an error in this, we're going to display space. That means nothing will be there. And if there is no error, then that means the formula is going to work. So now we can close our last parenthesis, look at it. This parenthesis has closed this one, and we say enter. Okay, so once we say enter, look at it, nothing is here, okay, because nothing has been typed here. So that's why you see nothing here, but when you come here, you can see there is a formula here, okay? So you see how this works when you've started populating things. So we're going to replicate this formula also. We just come here and try to replicate just a few. Right, so what have we done? We have done our formula, on our balance column so that if we post a debit entry, it's going to take the previous balance and add it to the debit entry. And if we post a credit entry, it's going to take the previous balance and deduct the credit entry from it. So that at any point in time, your running balance will be correct. What else have we done? We have done a VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP is very, very, very important for accountants, okay, and for anyone for that matter who deals in data. So we've done a VLOOKUP mixed with an if error. The reason why we put an if error there because we are designing an empty template. We don't want hashtag num, hashtag this, hashtag that to display here. Okay, so in order to avoid that, you mix your VLOOKUP with an if error formula. So that's why we have done this, so that when we type the code, it's going to appear. So we are kind of done with our Cashbook for now. So let's test it and see how it's going to work. So these are the transactions that we're going to use. First, we'll have an opening balance of 20,000. And we'll have a car sales from a customer of 35,000. Okay, this is not, let me just expand it a bit so they can appear. Yes, okay. A car sales of 35,000, of course, which has been deposited to the bank. And we're going to make a salary payment of 40K. We're going to just take 2 examples just to keep it simple. And the account codes that we're going to use are 1,000 for car sales and 4010 for salary, as you can see on our chart of accounts. Okay, this is our chart of accounts. For your information, what's a chart of account? A chart of accounts is the frame that is used in order to prepare our financial statements. So in other words, our financial statement constitutes lots of incomes, lots of expenditure, lots of assets, lots of liabilities. It is the codes that we use that will help us to summarize all these expenditures, all these incomes, all these assets. Okay, so our chart of accounts is very, very important. Okay, so we're going to use this chart of accounts. As you can see here, 1,000 is car sales according to our chart of accounts. And as you can see, 4010 is salaries, and you can see other codes. And then you have, so in this simple chart of accounts, right, in this simple chart of account, if you see any number starting with a 1, it's an income. If you see any number starting with a 4, it's an expenditure, whilst 8, asset, and the 9 is a liability. Okay, so this is very, very, very important. You can never be able to prepare financial statements without a proper chart of accounts. Okay, so now we've designed this Cashbook. We're going to post this transaction. So the first transaction we're going to look at is the opening balance, which happened on the 2nd of January 2021. So let's go on type. As you can see, it's an empty. So let me expand this so I can see all the columns at the same time. 1 second. Okay, so I'm just going to use this. Right, so we can see everything at a go. Right, so the first date is the 2nd of January 2021 will be our opening balance. Okay, so you see it has been date formatted for us properly. And then we're going to type balance brought forward. Okay, so this is the balance that will be brought forward from previous periods, assuming it's a continuing business. If it is a new business, this balance will be 0. Okay, but we're assuming that this particular business is a continuing business. So the balance is 20,000. Just check that. Yes, the balance is 20,000. Okay, so definitely, naturally, we have to type the balance because it's the starting. So we have 20,000. Can you see? So once we type 20,000, all the areas with the formula will have a running balance of 20,000, 20,000. Okay, good. So it just opening balances don't have any account code, as you can see here. So the second entry we're going to do will be a car sales deposit from customer A of 35,000, and the code for car sales is 1,000. Okay, so let's see how it's going to work. When was the date for that? The date for that was on the 4th January. So we go to the date column and type 4th January 21. So we say car sales. We say car sales. Okay. If we know the receipt, let's say the receipt number is 12345. So you can type the receipt number. Well, you will have your, so the reference column actually, if it is an income, naturally it will be the receipt number. If it is a payment, it will be a payment voucher number. Okay. So now, can you watch? The account code is blank. The account description is blank. Everything is blank from here. So we're going to enter the account code. And as we can see from our chart of accounts, the account code for our car sales is 1,000. So we go to our workbook and just type 1,000. Okay, equally, we could do a data validation here so that we can create a drop-down list to select the account code instead of typing. So that's one way of doing it, yeah? So you type 1,000, okay, you enter. If you enter, look at what happened. Car sales has automatically come. Let me show you, okay? Before typing the 1,000, look at it, nothing is here except the formula. So we type 1,000, we enter, car sales. The system knows that this 1,000 is the account description for car sales. So sorry, the account code for car sales. Okay, so now the car sales was for how much? The car sales was for 35,000. Okay, so we know this is a cash book, this is a cash account, which by default has got a debit entry. So therefore, if there is additional cars, we're going to pass a debit entry to increase. So we pass a debit entry. Look at it. At the moment, we have 20,000. So if we type 35,000 and enter, look at what the running balance become 55. Okay. So we're going to go to the second one, which is the last for our example, 4010 salary payment of 40,000 on the 22nd of January. So let's come here, 22nd of January, 21. We have salary. Okay, so salary also, let's say we did a payment voucher, which is, let's say, PV 00121287. That's the name of the payment voucher. Okay, so that's the reference number for our payment voucher. That's the payment voucher we use to pay salaries. Okay, so what's the account code for salary? According to our chart of accounts here, the account code for salaries is 4010. So we come here and type 4010. Like I said, equally, we could validate this so that you can just choose the account code instead of typing it. Okay, but to make it simple, we just type it 4010 and we enter. So once we enter, look at it, salaries came on its own. And we know salary is an outflow, is a decrease on the cash flow. So as such, the decrease will be entered on the credit column. So we come to the credit column, but before entering, let's observe what is here. Our current running balance is 55,000. Okay, so let's see what's going to happen after entering our salary payment of 40,000. Good. So we come here on the credit side and type 40,000. So once we type 40,000, look at it, automatically the balance will reduce to 15,000. Okay, so this is the way we do this is the way we design a robust cash book. So I think finally we can do a bit of cosmetics, right? We can do a bit of cosmetics. So I'm going to do a bit of cosmetics. I'm going to choose this one, and let's say it's going to stop here. Then we're going to go to the format and choose alternative colors. Okay, so this time around, I'm going to use a green one. Okay, green one, and we say done. Then on here, we're going to highlight this and also merge and center it. Okay, and we're going to, oh, sorry, this should go up to here. So it should go up to the balance column. Yeah, so just highlight everything here and then go merge and center. Fine. So I'm going to choose this and do a nice border. Okay, and I go to borders. I use the outer border. What do I want to put on the outer border? It's going to be a thick border or a double border. So let's choose a thick border. Yeah. So here you go. This is the way your Cashbook is going to look like. Beautiful, robust, and if you are a manager who designs this, you could design it in such a way that you could protect all the areas with the formula so that people don't yeah, mess up with your formulas. Okay. So if you want to enjoy more of this, please do not hesitate to subscribe to my channel. Just hit the subscribe button and of course the bell icon so that you don't miss any of my videos. And also, before I go, just want to remind you that this training is going to take place in the Gambia on the 24th and 25th of this month, August, at Nana Hall in Canifing. Do not miss it. It's very, very, very important for your professional career as an accountant, as a business person, or as an HR person, or anyone for that matter who deals in data. Okay, so thanks for having me and have a good night.